What is up, everybody? Liquid Snake here, coming with the 10 favorite cards of all time. It took a while to make this video because there actually are a lot of cards I like, and I tried to narrow them down as much as possible. I wanted to do 20, but I was like, nah, I want to do 10 to emphasize, how much I actually like them. Can't even talk. So, I narrowed it down to this list, and I want to explain why. Every one of these cards is my favorite. Also, it'd be nice if if you guys watch this video, respond to it. Say what are your 10 favorite cards and why, and explain what made you use it more, or explain why it's your favorite. Do you use it a lot, or you don't use it, or you just think it's awesome overall? So here we go. First card, Effect Veiler. When this card when it barely came out, I didn't really think much of it because I was still beginning, because I got in right around Shining Darkness, I think. So I was like, I was like whatever about it. I didn't think it was that awesome. I was still into it. I didn't know what what qualified as a good card, or what qualified as something you would need to run. And after a while, when I saw everybody start running this card, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start using it more often. And the more I used it, I was like, wow, this card is actually pretty good. And it stops a lot of stuff. It stops tour guide plays. Stops a wind up loop if you have enough. I think Maxi is mostly more for the wind ups, but anyways. It stops all Monarch's effects, things like that. And the reason why I don't mind people using this against me, because in my decks I tend to always tribute the monster I summon, so the effect still goes through. Like an example, I don't know, in some of my videos if I did it or not. You summon a tour guide, the effect veiler, you just enemy controller. Hopefully they have a monster on their side. If they don't, you can't do it. But take control of that monster and then get another monster from your deck, and you still get the effect. You either XYZ or keep that monster on the field. Most of the time, I would try to XYZ if possible. And if I have a Birdman in my hand, I would just summon out another tour guide, bounce that tour guide I just summoned with this tour guide, and then sync. But Effect Veiler does kill a lot, and it does stop a lot of setups. Especially, I wish I had them more often with the X Sabers. I remember that deck killed. When you let them summon those two Sabers on the field, they get already full troll. I was like, oh hell no. They try to summon out Bogart, nope, Veiler that thing before they even before they even thought about doing other things. So Veiler's awesome. These are not in order, by the way. I'm just explaining them the way they are. So next card, Fader. Battle Fader. I saw someone use this card in the Final Countdown deck a long time ago, and it's weird. It's like I think right around this time of Shining Darkness as well. And I thought, I wonder what that card is called, because then I never got to actually look at it. I just thought, oh, that's cool. It has an effect where you just special summon it, they attack directly, and that's awesome. And the cool thing about this card, it does get around skill drain, so that's nice. I always wonder, does it still get removed though? But that's for another thing. The reason why I like this card, because it's like Veiler kind of, but like somewhat the opposite. You're still letting their effects go through, but Fader stops that one turn OTK to hopefully give you advantage to come next turn and do the same thing to them, like hopefully summon out a bunch of stuff and just attack. And what I've noticed about Fader too, he's like the one I always use for enemy controller. Enemy controller and Fader is awesome. I remember when Hydrotex barely came out, and I wouldn't mind. On Duel Network, people always get mad if you use OCG cards. I never mind, so I let them use it. I didn't care. They would use Gustav. I remember there's one point I think I seriously thought I was going to lose. They Gustav me for $2,000 and they attacked directly. I summoned out Fader. Okay, I was fine. They didn't set any back row. They didn't have a hand. They basically had two guys, a Gustav, and I think a Red Eyes that was actually summoned out properly. Like, I actually had 28 attacks. I was like, oh, that's fine. And I think they didn't have much life points from what I remember. But I summoned out Fader, and I happened to have 3 enemy controllers. So what I would do, you draw. I forgot what I drew. I enemy controller their Gustav. I took him down for $2,000. I attacked a Gaia for I think 400, and then I would tribute it and try to get a Red Eyes and attack again. And I think that was for game right there and then. I was like, wow, that's enemy controller is pretty crazy. It can alter the duel. For me, it's altered it so many times. It's not even funny. I don't get surprised anymore every time it alters it. I'm like, oh, that's enemy controller. It does that. It's pretty crazy. And the thing I like about it too, you take their Utopia, you stack Utopia Ray, you take away their Adrius, Tyrus, any 5 ranks, you just stack Gaia, and that's another reason why I like using them too. Fader just prevents that. Enemy controller bait, summon it out. You're basically alive for another turn, and hopefully you have something to respond with. So, and that's why I like this guy a lot. I remember I was really happy I actually pulled an ulti out of it, and I was like, yeah, ulti out of I forgot what pack he's from, Absolute Power Force, I think. but I recommend them. And the thing that made me happy too, I remember when they announced them as a super and then comment, I was like, sweet, I gotta try to collect as many as I can because I don't know, this card, like I said, this card's awesome. So Dandelion, oh, this card, I started using it a lot more often when I would play junk synchron decks without the Doppel Warrior. I never used Doppel Warrior. And like when you mill a Dandy with a Raikou, I thought that was always awesome. You know, that was basically synchro bait right there. And another thing, and not even that. Sometimes I would use it just in a deck that had to do with a lot of synchroing and a lot of remove from play. The reason why I like Dandelion, honestly, it's 3 monsters in 1. You attack it, okay, cool. 2 more tokens. It's 2 attack. It saves you for 2 attacks. It's not that bad. I actually like it a lot, especially when you try to like MST call the haunted. You know, you summon out a Dandelion, just 2 tokens right there. 2 monsters get in the way. It just backfires because now that Gaia is out, they try to summon out Gaia and they pierce me for 23, I think. I don't know. I just think it's crazy, and Dandy has helped out a lot too. And the thing I like about Dandy too, the only backdraw is that you can't tribute it that turn that it was summoned. So what I would do is summon out like other monsters, summon out Effect Veiler, tune for Formula Synchron, draw 1. Summon out Cyber Valley, remove a token, and you know Cyber Valley, you don't really lose anything. You basically get +1 out of it, I would think. But I don't know. I recommend Dandelion in a lot of decks, and I can understand why it's at 1. So it's really awesome. It saved me a lot as well. As much as these guys have saved me, same thing with Dandelion. Next card, Blackwing Gale the Whirlwind. When I started playing Blackwings, I thought this card was the shit, honestly. And it is, because at the time, it was all synchro. So it's like you could run over a lot of synchro, especially Stardust. Stardust was always the one that was really annoying. So, you know, cut it, 1250, attack for 50 life points. They didn't lose much, but hey, they lost to Stardust, and that's pretty cool. Another thing too with this deck, it's like since you have a whole, you can summon out what's his name? Not Armed Wing, Bora, the Piercer, like, and Shura. Well, I'm mostly talking about Bora because it's special summon easily. When you summon him out, it's like you can run over anything that's at least 3,400, no 3,300 because you would have to cut it in half. So I thought that was pretty cool. Since you had so much field control, you can actually cut down a lot of monsters, and for sure you actually could run it over. And next turn, hopefully if your Gale was protected, if you had a Kalute, you could use its effect next turn as well. And I don't know, this card overall is awesome. It helps you tune for what's the synchros? Armed Wing and Armor Master. They are awesome cards as well, and especially Armor Master. He's freaking crazy. You just run into a Stardust and nothing happens. I was like, dang, it just destroys that monster, but you keep your own, so that's pretty cool. Next card, Kai's. At first I hated this card because they would always use it on me, but you know I barely began, so I didn't know what the hell was going on. But this card actually does help out a lot in some of the decks I use. Most of the time I run a 1 or 2, but lately it's always been 1 because I think 2 seems to clog up a lot. I don't know why, but this card helps out a lot. You tribute a monster, remove a card on the field. That's pretty awesome. It's, you know, if he doesn't get Veilered, obviously. And he for me, a lot of people, he does make, you know, helps them get the game. You know, you win right there. For me, I can never get that. It always helped me push, but it never helped me actually win the game when he's summoned. Like, you remove 1,000, good game. That rarely happens to me, and I wish it did because it does happen to a lot of people. But for him, Caius, I don't know, he's just awesome, especially when you're abusing the crap out of enemy controller. You know, this is what I would do usually when you pretend it's a Fader. You know, tribute the Fader, steal like their 19 beater. You never tribute it yet for Caius. You attack, make them waste another card. If they can't waste another card, fine, you destroy the monsters they're attacking. Main phase 2, then you summon out Caius because you want to get rid of as many cards as possible. You don't want them getting rid of yours. That's what I would do. And it actually does help out a lot, surprisingly, when I do that. You know, you wait first, then you summon it, and just in case they haven't tried to get rid of it themselves. So he is awesome. I love abusing him with Birdman and Zephyros, which are the next 2 cards. I fell in love with Zephyros right when he was announced. I was like, dude, this card's awesome. This was when Roll Oppression was at 1, I remember. You just bounce, apparently he got around Roll Oppression. You just bounce it, and there you go. You know, you basically have your Roll Oppression back. You activate it again. But I think he was only there for like a little bit from what I remember. But the cool thing is, he's awesome. He helps me abuse cards like Tour Guide, Gale, obviously, because, you know, you just special summon Gale again, and Birdman. I think with Birdman, these 2 guys are for me, I count them the same, just hard. One's harder because, you know, he has to be in the grave. This guy just has to be in your hand. I remember with Birdman, I used to actually use him in my hero deck with Stratos. Like, that play rarely went off, but when it did, it helped out a lot because it's an extra search. And he was a 19 beater, which I really liked about him because, you know, Stratos is a win, and that's pretty awesome. Zephyros, I like using him with Tengu, you bounce back Tengu, you get another Tengu. You Plague, summon out Plague, drop that Tengu into the deck, sync for 6. Okay, cool. You get another Tengu, then you stack for 4 for Utopia or whatever you need, and I don't know, he's really awesome. Birdman, he's mostly just reuse cards. His more manipulating, I guess. His is just you reuse like Caius or Tour Guide or a monster that has its effect negated. You just bounce it back to him and again do it again. Especially with Lila, I remember this card's really good with Lila. Like if the Lila's still alive, bounce it, summon at Lila again, destroy a card, sync for Arcanite, hopefully pop 2 more if possible. So it's really, really good, and so is him. And I think it's easier for him because he's a 4 level. I don't know why people. It seems like people run a lot of level 4, so I think he helps out a lot more when it comes to enemy control. To tribute to Tengu, get their monster, bounce that Tengu, and then you get Zephyros. If you have a Plague, you obviously top deck the Tengu, you threw it back up, but it's really cool. So next card, Cyber Valley. Oh, this card, I started liking it more ever since Leviair came out. Like it was a card I never used that often, but when Leviair came out, it made him a lot better. You would summon him out with Leviair, tribute enemy controller to Leviair, take a monster attack. Hopefully they don't do anything, because I would summon a Cyber in defense mode just in case it doesn't get Mirror Force. And then main phase 2, you remove both of them, draw 2. It's like, oh, that's pretty awesome. Since it was mind control, I would no, what would I do? I would Cyber Valley, summon out Cyber Valley first. Hopefully it doesn't get warning. Okay, cool. You mind control their monster and then you move. Honestly, he's helped me out a lot, especially when I needed cards on the field. Him with Dandy, his tokens are crazy. Him with Battle Fader is crazy, especially when you have enemy controller. Like always. I don't know, might as well put enemy controller in this dang list, but enemy controller is awesome as well. But talking about monsters for now. Cyber Valley is just crazy, honestly. He helps you draw like nothing, especially, like I said, when you have a Leviair, you summon out, like Valley's already on the field, you remove 2, cool. Then you summon out Leviair that same turn, get him again, you basically draw 4 that turn. That's pretty awesome, and I like it better when you're abusing their monsters as well. You take their monster and remove from Valley, so he helps out a lot. Junk Synchron. I started liking this card a lot ever since, Junk Synchron decks, like I was talking about earlier. Him, recently I started using him in my frog decks because he summons out a frog, especially that poison arrow frog. If he gets destroyed by something, you just draw 1, so it's not that bad. I like it. He helps out summon out Rodent Totem, so I don't have to pay the cost too much all the time. And when I use a pure Monster Mash deck with just frogs, I would use Gallus. You just mill something, summon out Gallus, summon out Junk Synchron, summon out a frog, then remove from play, summon out another frog, summon out Gachi, and then like a Leviathan or Golem, depending what do you want to do in that situation. It helps out a lot. Junk Synchron, even though he's a good tuner and mostly used for synchroing, now I actually use him a lot for XYZ, and he's also awesome with Birdman. Birdman's with anybody really, but Birdman's really awesome with Junk Synchron as well. You sync that turn, and the next turn you can actually sync for 5 again if you wanted to. So, and my last card, which is a synchro, which is Gaia. This guy, I don't know why, this guy has always helped out a lot when synchros were really popular. Like, you can summon him out, he's basically 26 beat stick, especially after Goyo Guardian got banned. He basically left that void, like helped that void out, like, oh, I can't use Goyo Guardian, I can use him. I don't know, he's just really good, to be honest. I use him a lot. Like, if I do run 6s in my deck, it's always Bryo and Gaia. Most of the time I always summon out Gaia because it's always crap I always have to get rid of, because if I summon out Bryo, I can still minus by discarding and bouncing cards, but if I know if I could destroy it that turn, I might as well summon out this guy and get rid of him. Even though he is somewhat of a section option, I do see him more highly because I don't get rid of much to use him. Just 2 monsters, that's it, fine, whatever. But you attack, you still cause some damage and get rid of something. Bryo, he can run over some monsters, but I'd rather have the power than actually bounce, because remember there's Veilers too. So you toss 2. Well, you should always toss 1 at a time because you don't want to get Veiler. But some people, they toss 3 at a time and get Veiler. Then you lost 3 cards. What are you gonna do then? So, well, hopefully you guys liked this video. Make sure to sign up for my contest. The link below. Also, if anyone's doing the liking every video thing, you can say you liked every video all the way to 99th on the contest video or the 99th video. Up to you, wherever, it doesn't matter, as long as I see it somewhere, it shouldn't matter. So hopefully you guys are signing up. Thank you very much for checking out my channel, and respond to this video with your 10 favorite cards. It could be like this, it could be you talking to the camera, I don't mind. I just want to expand my channel and hopefully get people talking. So thanks guys, and hopefully you guys have a good day, and see you in the next video.